Hi, and welcome back for another tool review. I'm Melissa Muir. As you know, I'm really into using my hydraulic press for different pieces of my work. It gives me added depth and dimension that I'm not able to get otherwise. In addition, I can also roll print an item or etch it and not worry about that design being affected the same way that I would if I were using, say, a hammer on a stake or into a dapping set or anything like that. So in this video, I want to introduce you to these dies. They're called BulletProof dies. They are made and offered by Cottage.com. These are made out of the same material that they use in banks for their bulletproof items, for their glass. So it's no longer made out of the glass, but it is made out of this kind of acrylic. The dies are each 1/2 inch deep, and you can also buy some that are already blanks that are about 1/4 inch thick, so that way you can make your own. And you would just use your jeweler's saw to cut through that to create your own design as well. Let's go over to the press and see how these are used. So in this case, you can see that I have the die. I have my metal, which I don't know if you can really see that very well, but there is a nice texture on it that I've just put through the rolling mill using a pattern from Rolling Mill Resource. Also with the dies, there are these little rubber sheets, and in this case, I'm going to use 3 at a time. Now, I may have to press this more than one time, but we'll see what we end up with. One of the things that's really nice about this is that it is see-through, and so I can place this onto here and then go through and figure out where I really want to have my design laid out. And once I figure this out, I'm just going to turn this over and use a little bit of painter's tape. It doesn't take much to get this all locked into place. And now I'm ready to put this into my press. So I have my press ready to go. I like to use as many spacers as possible so that I don't have to raise my platen quite as far. So what I'm going to do is, and you can do this a number of ways. First thing I want to do is make certain that my die is down, my metal is on the top. I'm going to place the rubber mats on this, and then I'm going to insert this into place so that it's easier for me to insert it and make sure that it's centered. Sometimes I'll use one of the spacers itself, and that way it's easier to slide everything in together. I want to make certain that everything is centered and properly aligned on my press, and I'm going to take this up to about 2,000 pounds of pressure. Now I'm only using 24 gauge copper on this. It has been annealed even after rolling it through the mill, so it's pretty soft right now. So I've taken it to about 2,000 pounds. I'm going to release that, pull this out. Now I have a really good impression on this, but it may not be as deep as what I'm looking for. So what I'll do is remove this. And that's actually fairly nice, but if I want it to be a little deeper, I'll go and anneal this and then do this process one more time. In addition to having the silhouette dies, she also offers some little inserts that you can use for embossing purposes as well. So you can see those laid out right here. In addition to using the hydraulic press, they also give you some great directions for use if you only have, say, a hammer or if you have a vise. And then you'll see that you can use these metal plates to help kind of stabilize everything, especially when you're using the vise and the hammer. You don't really need them so much if you have a hydraulic press. Now I will say that the method of using your hammer or using a vise work really well if you have a thinner metal. So I've had fantastic results using either 20 gauge all the way down to 26 gauge using my hydraulic press, and my results are fairly consistent with their method, so it's been really nice. But like I said, if you are going to use that hammer or the vise method, then I would consider using gauges of maybe 24. I don't know that I'd go up to 22, but definitely 24 and higher gauges, you should have fairly decent results. These dies are extremely affordable. They run under $10 each if you buy them individually. Or you can buy a set, which will include 3 different pieces, the same shape, just different sizes, kind of graduated, for about $25. Or you can buy their entire line for about $210, give or take a little bit. So they're really, really affordable, and it is a great alternative to sitting and cutting out your own. In addition to that, all you have to do is contact them if you happen to have a custom shape, and they can actually make that for you as well.